you open your eyes into a world without alarms. The sky is the color of warm milk, and the sun is barely trying, more of a polite suggestion than a command. You're somewhere in ancient Greece, not the dramatic one with wars and screaming heroes, but the slower, lazier Greece where sandals scuff over sleepy stone and olives fall with the dignity of old age. There's a breeze, it smells like thyme, salt, and naps. You're walking a dusty footpath between two very undecided fig trees, and your only appointment today is with the god of sleep. No, not Hypnos, the famous one. This is his lesser-known cousin, he who crafts the clouds. Often forgotten by textbooks but deeply beloved by shepherds who appreciate a good shade nap. A rooster crows in the distance. Off-key, delayed, and clearly not paid enough for this shift. This is Whispers of History, where we gently unravel the parts of the past you didn't know you needed. If you're still awake, maybe give us a like and subscribe so we can keep whispering these cozy time travels into the void. Where are you listening from and what time is it there? Type it softly in the comments. Or not, we won't be mad. Now let's ease into tonight's journey. You're walking toward a small village called, tucked into the hills like a thought you almost forgot. The villagers speak slowly, like their words have to pass through fog before they reach their mouths. Everything here moves at the speed of moss. A local myth says lives just past the olive grove in a cave that breathes. He doesn't rule sleep, he inspires it. It was he, they claim, who first thought to scoop up sky mist and stitch it into something soft. His first blanket, a prototype gifted to a tired cyclops who immediately fell asleep mid-sentence and didn't wake up until the next solstice. You turn a corner and pass a boy selling something called cloud wool. It's white, fluffier than logic, and possibly made of sheep that have never touched the ground. He offers you a bundle for 2 dried figs and a riddle. You have neither. He nods with approval. Best price, he says. Historians still debate whether was ever officially part of the Olympian family tree or just a kindly local demigod who refused invitations. Records are foggy, like his. You pause under a fig tree that's doing its best. One lone fruit drops to the dirt as if the tree is saying, "Fine, if you insist." Somewhere overhead, clouds gather with the elegance of theater curtains. You feel the first hint of drowsy enchantment. Maybe it's the clouds. Maybe it's the lack of drama. Maybe it's just you. Either way, you're not fighting it. Pays well, he shrugs and yawns beautifully like a bird unfurling its wings. You nearly pass out. It tells you about the annual Blanket Festival, held every year in the 3rd week of which isn't technically a month but more of a vibe. During this festival, locals gather to show off cloud-woven inventions, some blankets, some cloaks, and once, allegedly, a parachute that worked in dreams only. One year, a contestant submitted a blanket so fluffy it caused spontaneous hibernation in 6 judges and a goat. It was immediately banned, and then requested by half the temple for private use. You pass a market stall with jars labeled condensed mist, and one merchant claims her berries were blessed by himself, though some scholars believe she just sneezed on them and said a prayer. The truth, still debated. You finally reach the foot of a small hill where a stone staircase curls like a sleeping cat, nods toward the top. That's this cave, he says. He's always home, he just never answers the door. You thank him even though you didn't say anything out loud. He smiles and drifts away mid-step. The climb is easy, too easy. The steps are made of something that feels like sponge cake and dreams. A butterfly glides by so slowly you have time to name it, regret the name, and rename it twice. Its final name is Pancake, and it's very pleased. As at the top, the cave entrance yawns open. You step inside, and instantly the temperature drops, not cold, just calm. You hear the faint murmur of clouds being folded. The sound is somewhere between parchment and purring. You've arrived, but you're not knocking. Something tells you this is a place where time forgets to move, and maybe you should too. A perfect pause. You lean against a wall that might be made of vapor, and slowly your eyes begin to flutter. Whether it's magic or mild dehydration, you feel yourself slipping softly into something like sleep. And he's watching, not creepy, just curious, like a craftsman proud of his most recent nap. The inside of the cave is not what you expect. It's domestic, cozy even. You take a few slow steps forward, careful not to disturb the literal floor of clouds beneath your feet. They give way slightly with a sigh. Yes, the floor sighs, then fluff back up like it enjoys being walked on. Somewhere in the distance, a kettle whistles, but gently, like it's embarrassed to be making noise. You glance around and find no gold, no thrones, no bolts of divine lightning. Instead, you spot a bookshelf. It's carved from driftwood and stuffed with scrolls that look unopened, unread, and possibly allergic to drama. Titles like The Ethics of Afternoon Naps, How to Fold a Cumulus, and I Have Known and Loved peek out from behind feather-shaped bookmarks. One of them, Blankets, a memoir, is bound in velvet, and you think, humming softly. A soft light filters from above, like sunlight filtered through soup. Hanging from the ceiling are what seem to be wind chimes, except they're made of icicles and tuned to the sound of a lullaby no one remembers. One chime winks at you. It may have been your imagination, but you're not sure anymore. Is here not sitting on a throne, more like reclining on an unreasonably oversized beanbag made of soft thunderclouds and disinterest. He looks like someone who forgot about stress centuries ago. His hair is silver and frizzy like moonlight tangled in wool, and his robe seems to be part fog, part bathrobe. He doesn't open his eyes. He simply gestures, and a second beanbag slides toward you invitingly. You said it's size 2. You're welcome, mumbles. His voice sounds like a windstorm that once tried being a lullaby and decided to stick with it. You nod. You're not sure why you feel like you're not allowed to speak above a whisper, but it feels right. You realize with some amusement that your thoughts are starting to slow down too, like a parade that forgot why it started marching. Begins to speak, or maybe he continues. The timeline is fuzzy in here. In the early days, he says, mankind made fire, war, boats, and taxes, but no one thought to make comfort. He sounds mildly annoyed by this historical oversight. They slept on rocks, rocks. You ever try to dream on something that once screamed out of a volcano? You shake your head. He waves a hand and a blanket floats toward you. It smells like lavender and rain. I invented softness, he says proudly. Before me there was just surviving, but I thought, what if clouds had feelings? What if the sky had seasons not for storms but for sleep? Now you touch the blanket. It's so soft it may be illegal. As outside, the wind shifts. The air smells like it's considering raining, but politely. You hear a sheep bleat in the distance, probably protesting bedtime. You're not sure how long you've been in the cave. Time has the consistency of warm honey here, drippy and unbothered. I made the first blanket, says, when I saw a child curled up under leaves. Leaves, that's just plant dandruff. So I gathered cloud wisps from the peaks of Mount and stitched them with dream thread from the river Lethe. Took me a decade, worth it. You try to imagine the child waking up under a sky blanket instead of crusty foliage. You hope they had a good nap. You also hope no one else ever tries to reinvent the blanket. Seems territorial. Historians still debate whether this story predates Hypnos himself or is a side myth invented by particularly imaginative goat herders in Thessaly. Some versions claim the blanket could fly. Others insist it simply made you forget you were ever tired. One scholar declared the tale comforting nonsense and promptly fell asleep mid-lecture. I don't get out much, admits, but I like knowing the world still sleeps, even now, even in places where the birds never shut up. He chuckles. A cloud in the corner giggles in response. You choose not to ask questions. Then he leans closer, not ominous, just dramatically slow. But there's something you need to know, he whispers. Blankets made of clouds come with a cost. You lean in, half out of curiosity, half because your beanbag has absorbed most of your posture. Oh, the cost, he says solemnly, is never wanting to leave. You don't reply, you don't need to. The beanbag seems to agree with him, hugging you in a gentle way that makes standing up feel like betrayal. Your spine makes a quiet pact with gravity. No sudden movements. Yawns, it's contagious. You try to resist, you fail. So, he continues, since you're here, I suppose I could tell you about the blanket trials. They were never official, of course. Too sleepy for formality. Oh, he gestures and a cloud drifts down like a memory wrapped in fluff. It shimmers and begins to show images, hazy, flickering like lazy dreams. Once every 10 years, villagers from across the hill valleys brought their finest sleep inventions to compete for the title of most soothing, not strongest, not fastest. Just the one that made you feel like a sleepy kitten on a cloud hammock after a bath. One year, a woman arrived with a blanket sewn entirely from size, collected at dusk by monks who never spoke louder than raindrops. Another contestant brought a pillow filled with the last breath of contented grandmothers. It caused immediate, overwhelming nostalgia in anyone who touched it. One man cried for 12 hours straight and claimed he saw his childhood dog. As a crowd favorite, the dream sifter. A netted sleep mask that filtered out stressful thoughts and replaced them with mildly amusing memories. Like that one time you tripped in a public fountain but no one saw. The winner that year recalls was a child who brought nothing, just lay down on the grass and sighed. The whole panel fell asleep watching him. Sometimes, the god murmurs, comfort is just the absence of effort. You nod again, slower this time. Your body is somewhere between a human and a particularly relaxed croissant. There's a pause, the kind that feels sacred or at least too cozy to break. The cave hums gently. A cloud floats by with a teacup on it. You think about grabbing it, but your arm doesn't receive the message in time. It's fine. The teacup seems understanding. Leans back again and studies you with barely open eyes. You're doing very well, he says. Most mortals come in talking about productivity and leave with a neck pillow. He snaps his fingers lazily and a tiny storm cloud appears, grumbling softly. It sprinkles a fine mist that smells like old books and vanilla. That'll help, he says. The sound of the wind returns, gentler than ever. Outside, the village goes quiet. Even the sheep, ever defiant, have succumbed to the blanket of stillness that wraps this entire hill. So somewhere behind you, the wind chimes ring again. A slower melody this time, one that doesn't ask to be remembered. And the sleepy god who invented blankets made of clouds closes his eyes with a smile. Let's rest a while, he says. You already are. You lie there, sinking ever so slightly deeper into the cloud-soft seat, as fades into his own pause. It's not a dramatic silence, not a theatrical wait for applause kind of thing, just the kind of silence that arrives when even your thoughts forget to finish their sentences. Your eyes wander, not with urgency but like they're stretching after a nap. On the far side of the cave there's a loom, not a fancy divine one with golden gears or magical inscriptions. No, this one looks handmade, slightly crooked, smelling faintly of warm dust and lavender oil. There's a half-finished blanket resting on it, woven from fine silver threads that shimmer like dew before the sun remembers to do its job. Doesn't move, but he knows you're starring. That one's for the moon, he says. She says she's cold all the time now, ever since the mortals stopped writing her poetry. You raise your eyebrows just a bit. She says the night feels lonelier, he adds. So I'm weaving her a wrap that smells like dusk on the Ionian Sea. I added a little dolphin breath too just for charm, don't tell her. You promise you won't. Not because of secrecy, just because your mouth feels heavy. The air in here weighs a pleasant kind of nothing. You think maybe this is what contentment would smell like if it wore pajamas. As outside, clouds drift in lazy formation. One looks suspiciously like a sleeping tortoise. Another is definitely shaped like a sandal. You wonder if is sculpting them for fun or if clouds naturally start to resemble dreams the longer they hover. The first time I made a cloud blanket, he murmurs as if you'd asked, I didn't know what I was doing, I thought I was making fog. But then someone lay down on it and they didn't get up for 3 days. No complaints though, just a new standard. He waves his hand vaguely and a smaller cloud floats over. It unrolls like a scroll, revealing a hazy scene, an elderly man snoozing contentedly beneath a vine-covered pergola. His arms are folded over his chest, and a cat is perched squarely on his stomach. That's and says, not Jason with a J, with an I, he was the first mortal to request a blanket instead of glory. Told the gods he had no interest in quests unless the prize was 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep and a good pillow. Now you smile, or at least the version of you that still controls your facial muscles does. There's a legend, he continues, that once slept through a war by hiding beneath one of my earliest models. Soldiers tripped over him, they thought he was a boulder. One of them carved their initials into him. He didn't wake up, that's dedication. Historians, of course, argue whether was a real figure or just a parable told by ancient therapists. The debate is ongoing, mostly because any scholars who dig too deep into stories tend to fall asleep halfway through their footnotes. You look again at the loom. The silver blanket glows now, pulsing softly with each breath the cave takes. You think about all the things you were supposed to do today. Then you think about how distant those things feel now, like items left behind at a harbor as your ship drifts out to sea. A bell chimes from somewhere unseen. A cloud enters with a tray. On it, a tiny bowl of honeyed figs, a teacup of something called, and a note. You open the note with fingers that are now mostly metaphor. As it reads, eat if you like or dream about eating. It's the same here. While you take a fig, it melts. You're not sure if you chewed it or just remembered it into your stomach. Finally stirs, stretching one long, lazy arm. I used to visit Olympus, he mutters. Tried to convince Zeus to take a nap once. You know what he said. You shake your head, unsure if this is rhetorical or real. He said sleep is for the mortals. I told him so is humility. He grins, the cloud under him puffs proudly. He didn't invite me back. You both sit quietly for a moment longer, the sort of silence that has earned its place. No one is trying to impress anyone here, even the wind has taken a seat. A rustling from the back of the cave draws your attention. You turn slowly like a leaf being convinced to float sideways. There, behind a curtain of soft mist, is something that looks suspiciously like a door. Not a majestic god door made of light or thunder, just a door, wooden, slightly tilted, painted blue. You glance at who doesn't open his eyes but still answers. That leads to the nap archive, he says, where I keep records of every nap ever taken under my clouds. Zalubablenka. Yes, he sighs, even yours, you drooled once, very endearing. Page 14,578. He gestures again and the door creaks open without fanfare. Inside is a long hallway lined with shelves upon shelves of dream vials, soft scrolls, and parchment so faded it looks like memory itself gave up halfway through writing. Each shelf has a label: midday naps during harvest season, accidental dozes after bread, epic sleeps during terrible poetry recitals. Now you step inside. It's cooler here and the quiet is so thick you could fold it. and drifts behind you, somehow floating without floating. Every mortal dream caught under one of my blankets ends up here, he says. We don't judge them, we just preserve them, even the ones that make no sense, especially those. You spot a glowing orb labeled Dream 293,861, a flying pancake school. You touch it gently, and it bursts into a faint giggle before resealing itself. When one scroll catches your eye, you pick it up. The title reads, The Nap That Saved a Kingdom. Oh, says, perking up, that one's good. A prince overslept a battle he was meant to lead. His absence caused his army to hesitate, retreat, and accidentally take a better strategic position. They won by mistake. The prince got promoted, I got thanked, briefly. Historians still argue whether the prince existed. One says he was a symbol of pacifism. Another claims he was just an insomniac who finally gave in. The third historian never finished his paper. He fell asleep on it. You wander further. The air smells now of chamomile and pages. You begin to wonder how long you've been here, an hour, a day, a century of cozy. He turns to you with a gentle smile. Some gods want worship, he says. Some want temples. I just want silence and the occasional thank you from a well-rested goat. You chuckle softly, you understand now. As you walk back through the archive, you feel something settle inside you. A kind of peace. Not the loud, triumphant kind, the quiet one. The one that tiptoes in when no one's looking. You return to the cave's main room. The chimes greet you like old friends. Your beanbag is still warm. Sits down, exhales a stormless breath, and reaches for a blanket of half-folded fog. Oh, no rush, he says, there never is. And you believe him. You sink back into the beanbag, which somehow remembers the exact shape of your spine. It's unclear whether it's the same one you sat on earlier or a new one that simply knew what to expect. Either way, it hugs you like an apology from the universe. It doesn't speak for a while. He just watches the clouds above spin slowly into soft spirals, then unspin themselves as if they got distracted halfway through. You think about saying something, but the moment doesn't ask for it. Instead, he points to a smooth stone table beside the loom. It's round, polished by time, or perhaps the gentle friction of too many quiet thoughts. On it, a small pile of feathers lies in a perfect circle. No ink, no quill, just the feathers. Oh, these, he says, are from dreams that molted. You tilt your head, the feathers shimmer faintly. He continues, sometimes when mortals dream of flying, the dream leaves behind a feather. I keep them here. Not for spells or anything, just because they're lovely. He hands you one. It's warm, like it remembers the sun but doesn't need it anymore. When you blink, it changes color, first silver, then the color of a wish you forgot to make. I used to collect dreams more often, he says. But they've gotten noisier, more rushed. Fewer people drift into them now, most just crash. There's no judgment in his voice, just a soft sadness, the kind that smells like closing libraries. Still, he adds, every now and then someone remembers to lie down with intention. Like now. As a distant thunder rolls, gentle, more of a throat clearing than a threat. A cloud outside the cave floats by holding a folded note. It bumps against the wall twice, then pauses politely. Now gestures and the note unfurls itself midair. Ah, he says. Another mortal requesting an extension on their nap. That's the third today. Good. Productivity is overrated. The note vanishes with a poof. You're not sure if the cloud ate it or filed it. Either way, you envy whoever gets to sleep a little longer. The god leans back again. Do you know how many mortals have invented ways to wake up louder? Clocks, roosters, phone alarms, sunlight, spouses with cold hands. But no one has invented a gentler way to fall asleep. That's my job. You nod, then yawn, not just honestly. He smiles as if that's the greatest compliment. He reaches to the side and pulls something from beneath his robe. A small, rectangular box made entirely of mist. It glows dimly. This, he says, is the cloud remote. Don't ask why it looks like a mortal object. I borrowed the idea from a particularly sleepy engineer in Rhodes. He presses a button, and the clouds above you begin to shift shapes more quickly, forming animals' faces, an entire lazy parade of sleepy lions and grumpy owls. Then another button dims the light in the cave by 20%. A third one releases a soft, invisible breeze that smells like cinnamon and forgotten lullabies. A customization, he says proudly. I like to let guests set their own atmosphere. No two naps are the same. You reach for the remote, curious. He lets you hold it. It's weightless. The buttons don't have labels, but you swear they whisper what they do. Soothe, snooze, snuggle, forget. You gently press one. Well, then came it was a shift. The temperature becomes perfect. Not comfortable, but perfect, like the moment between pulling the blanket up and actually falling asleep. The floor softens slightly. The cave ceiling darkens just enough to encourage your eyelids to grow heavy. Nods with approval. Good choice, he says. That's the drift button, very underrated. You hand it back. He tucks it into the cloud beside him like it's just another stone on the shore. As outside, another chime sounds. Lower this time, more like a heartbeat than a melody. You wonder how time works here, if you'll age, if you already did and just forgot, or if, like the clouds, you're suspended in some divine loop of softness and slow breath. Some myths say I only visit the elderly, he says suddenly, reading your thoughts like a sleepy librarian. But they're wrong. I go where I'm needed. Children, warriors, poets, bakers, anyone who's forgotten the texture of rest. He sighs and a ripple runs through the cave walls. Not threatening, just rhythmic. Like the mountain is breathing with him. There was once a baker, he continues. Old woman, lived alone on the edge of a cliff in Naxos. She made one kind of bread, fluffy and warm, like it had a secret. Said the recipe came to her in a dream after she slept under one of my first blankets. He chuckles. She gave a loaf to every sailor passing through, not one shipwreck in 20 years. You blink, wondering if that's true. Historians claim coincidence, he says, but the sea listens better to those who nap well. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, just to feel what it would be like to do nothing. The air around you feels thicker now, more like velvet than vapor. Time stretches again, your breath slows. You'll have to leave eventually, he murmurs. But not now, for now just remember this. He reaches behind the beanbag and pulls out a folded scrap of cloud. It floats over to you and gently opens, revealing embroidered words in mist thread. You are allowed to rest. You exhale and the entire cave exhales with you. It doesn't speak again for a while, and neither do you. Instead, you listen to the breeze curling through the stone, to the gentle puff-puff of clouds shifting weight, to the slow, melodic snoring of a weathered dream orb that seems to have dozed off in a corner. The cave, you realize, is not silent, it's whispering, constantly, but gently. It's the kind of place where even your inner critic is required to remove its shoes and lower its voice. Eventually, the god rises. Not quickly, not stiffly, just fluidly, like his body is made of mist and remembered comfort. Come, he says, let me show you where I keep the oldest cloud. You follow him through a narrow corridor, walls draped with silk spun from vapor. Along the way you pass relics of rest. A shepherd's pillow carved from driftwood, a jar labeled first yawn ever collected, still sealed, and a faded mural showing a cave bear napping peacefully beside a fire. He pauses at a door covered in ivy, not drawn, not painted. Real ivy. Soft, pale green, smelling faintly of lemon, and he presses one palm to the door, it sighs, then opens. Inside is a small chamber lit by nothing, or maybe by the idea of light. At the center floats a single cloud, it's small, tattered, and pulsing faintly like an old heart that never stopped hopping. Now that, says softly, is the first one I ever made. Before blankets, before dreams, before I even had a name. You walk closer. The cloud quivers. You feel something tugging at your chest. Not pain, not nostalgia, just recognition. Like a part of you remembers lying beneath this exact softness long before you had words for what comfort meant. I made it in a cave like this, he says. Right after the first rain, the world was so loud, so sharp, I thought, what if something didn't have to be? You reach out. The cloud leans into your touch like an old friend who doesn't ask where you've been. He continues, it carried the first real sleep. Not a survival sleep, not an exhausted collapse, a choice, a gift. You nod barely, you understand, even if your words are miles behind. He exhales once more. Every blanket I've made since, he says, has a thread from this one woven inside, even yours. That's why no matter where you are, on a mountain, a bus, or hiding from yourself, if you stop and let it, it finds you. You step back slowly. The old cloud floats peacefully, unaware of how many lifetimes it has softened. The door closes behind you. The ivy resettles. The silence resumes. Back in the main cave, the beanbag sighs at your return. Stretches again, shakes the mist from his sleeves and smiles. "Oh, you should rest now," he says. "And you believe him." You don't argue. Arguing feels like something that happens on weekdays, and this place, whatever day it is, feels firmly off the calendar. You lower yourself back into the beanbag, and this time it molds so perfectly to your body that you suspect it might have taken a brief course in anatomy just for you. He dims the room again with a flick of his fingers. No fanfare, just a soft fade. The clouds above thicken into a gentle overcast, the kind you'd expect during an afternoon drizzle that never arrives. A slow-moving shadow drapes across the walls like a long sigh being tucked in. You glance toward the entrance of the cave. It's still open. Outside, nothing has changed, just the same pale sky, the same meandering clouds shaped like animals from dreams you can't quite recall. Time here is not frozen, it's just unbothered. The god of sleepy clouds settles onto his own seat once again, this time pulling a light gray throw over himself. It shifts colors subtly, matching the rhythm of his breathing. "Breath-reactive weaving," he explains, noticing your gaze. "I invented it during a thunderstorm nap, patented by nobody, used by everyone." He pauses, rubs the bridge of his nose with a finger that leaves a small streak of dew in the air. "You ever notice," he says, "how mortals love telling stories about heroes who conquer sleep, as if staying awake is some great victory?" You nod slightly because yes, you've heard those stories. The ones where people drink bitter things and stare at glowing rectangles just to avoid closing their eyes. And chuckles softly. But who tells the stories of those who surrendered to sleep willingly, not because they were weak, but because they were wise? He leans his head back against a pillow that floats half an inch above his cloud. "There was once a philosopher," he says, "named Thales the Sleepier. Not to be confused with the other Thales who cared about water and geometry and occasionally wore shoes." You squint, wondering if this is real. He continues anyway. Thales the Sleepier believed that dreams were not mere reflections of the mind, but previews of a life you were too busy to live while awake. He claimed that naps could sharpen the soul. He also ran a very successful hammock shop. You chuckle, you imagine him standing in a toga, holding a sign that reads, "Buy one nap, get two perspectives free." One day, says, Thales challenged a war general to a duel of philosophies. The general proposed a battle of wills, but Thales just lay down in the town square and fell asleep for 6 hours. When he woke, the general was gone, the crowd had learned to whisper, and someone had left him a pair. A beat of silences. Historians still debate if this duel happened, the god adds, or if Thales dreamt it and wrote it down by accident. You inhale deeply, and the cave fills your lungs with something richer than air. It's not oxygen, it's calm. The kind that seeps between your ribs and unclenches your shoulders without asking permission. He waves a hand toward the bookshelf again, and one scroll floats down toward you. It unrolls midair and reveals a map not of places but of postures. It's a nap atlas, he explains. Collected over centuries, side sleepers from Cyprus, face-down thinkers from Crete, the legendary diagonal sprawlers of Mykonos. You examine the diagrams. Stick figures in various poses, each with notes like ideal for dreams of floating or use only after emotional conversations. One has a foot sticking out from the blanket. It's labeled bold. Now you ask, finally, if ever sleeps. He smiles faintly. Always, he says, but only a little. I nap between naps. I drift like a cloud that doesn't want to rain. You look down at your hands. They feel farther away than they should. Not numb, just quiet. The kind of quiet that hums underneath the surface, like when a room has just been cleaned and the sunlight catches the dust in suspension. You think about your real bed, wherever it is. It's probably colder, louder, smaller. It definitely doesn't have walls that sigh when you breathe. Still, you know you'll have to return eventually. Doesn't say it, but the cave seems to know. Oh, not yet. You awake or think you do to the gentle smell of something sweet. It's not honey, though honey is whispering somewhere in the background. No, this is softer, lighter, something between warm milk and lullabies sung by people you trust. You haven't moved, not really. But the cave is a little dimmer now. The light has curled up in the corners, resting. A few fireflies drift lazily through the air, but only one at a time, as if not to overwhelm the mood. Is humming, you're not sure when he started. The tune is meandering, made up of notes that barely touch one another, like stepping stones across a foggy stream. Did I sleep, you murmur. Does it matter? He answers without opening his eyes. You consider this. No, it doesn't. The god stands slowly, stretches in a way that makes the ceiling stretch too, as if mimicking his movements. Let's walk, he says, just for a moment. You rise, your legs a little unsure, like fawns trying out consciousness for the first time. But the clouds beneath you are patient, supportive. They gently guide your feet forward, shaping themselves to help you balance. He leads you through a side corridor. This one glows faintly pink and gold, like a perpetual dawn. The Hall of Almosts, he says, where dreams that nearly happened come to rest. You walk past translucent curtains that shimmer when you pass, revealing scenes that feel familiar but unfinished. A beach you almost visited. A letter you almost sent. A nap you almost allowed yourself on a Tuesday afternoon. This place, he says, reminds me that rest isn't just a luxury. It's a door. You either open it or you stand in front of it, convincing yourself you're too busy. He pauses, then gestures toward one curtain. You brush it aside. Inside, you see yourself, not quite now, but not far off, sitting in a field with a blanket around your shoulders, staring at a sky full of clouds shaped like animals you once loved as a child. While you smile, you forgot that memory. Or maybe it hasn't happened yet. There are more important things than being awake, says finally. There's being present, being whole, being rested enough to love. The words aren't profound. They're just true. You don't need to write them down. Your body seems to absorb them like a sponge taking in warm water. You leave the hall of almosts quietly. Even your footsteps feel less urgent now. Back in the main cave, the clouds pulse gently to a rhythm that feels suspiciously like your heartbeat. Hands you a rolled blanket. It's light but dense with something you can't describe. Memory, maybe, or kindness. It's for the road, he says, in case the world gets too sharp again. You hold it, it doesn't weigh much, but it makes you feel heavier in the best way. Grounded, ready, or at least gently willing. He places a hand on your shoulder, warm, steady. You're always welcome here, he says. But not everyone gets to stay, most don't need to. You nod, it's okay. As outside, the clouds have shifted again, parting slowly to reveal a winding path made of mist. It leads downhill towards something that looks like waking life. You look back one last time. The cave sighs again, as if folding itself into memory. And you walk forward, blanket in hand, mist at your feet, carrying the quiet with you like a promise. The path that stretches before you is less of a road and more of a suggestion. It gently curves through the mist like it's unsure of its own destination, and you're perfectly fine with that. You're not in a rush. In fact, the concept of hurry feels about as outdated now as bronze helmets and heroic oaths. The blanket in your arms hums quietly, like it's dreaming even while awake. It radiates a soft, almost imperceptible warmth, like a memory of sunlight filtered through a curtain. You don't look down at your feet as you walk, there's no need. The mist beneath you parts before each step and swirls shut after, as if it's happy to carry you just a little farther before it goes back to sleep. Behind you, a cave slowly fades, not with a dramatic swoosh or magical sparkle, but with the dignity of someone pulling a thick curtain over a stage between acts. You know it's still there. You just also know you're not meant to see it for a while. A soft wind blows in from the east, or what you assume is east. The concept of direction is flexible here, like toast that changes shape to fit the jam. You pass under a small archway made of fog-bound reeds, and a sign appears briefly overhead. The way back, slightly softer than you remember. You smile not because it's funny, because it's true. As you walk, the world begins to stitch itself together again, not all at once, but gently. Hills rise lazily from the fog, wearing patchy cloaks of grass and thyme. Trees stretch their limbs with the long, unhurried movement of someone just waking from a nap that began before clocks were invented. In the distance, you spot a familiar sight, the village you passed through earlier now seen from above. Its red-tiled rooftops shimmer in the afternoon haze. A child chases a chicken, loses, and applauds the chicken anyway. A pair of grandmothers sit beneath a fig tree that looks exactly as sleepy as you feel. They are not talking, just leaning against each other like bricks in a wall that has no intention of falling. You pause to take it in, there's no pressure to continue. The breeze says, take your time, and means it. And to your left, a shepherd naps beside a rock that looks suspiciously more comfortable than any mattress you've ever owned. His flock grazes in rhythmic silence, Each step a syllable in a poem no one will write down. One goat bleats softly, then forgets why. You keep a walking. The blanket shifts in your arms again, heavier now, as if sensing you're nearing the threshold between worlds. Or maybe it's just letting you feel the weight of the comfort you carry. That's the thing about gifts, they don't shout their purpose. They just are. Soon you reach the village gate, a simple arch of sun-bleached stone with vines curling through its cracks like sleepy punctuation marks. No one stops you. There's no fanfare. Just a passing nod from an old man who looks like he might once been a cloud himself. Back already, he asks. You blink, was I gone long? He shrugs, not really, just long enough to remember. You walk past him and the village doesn't blink. It doesn't ask questions. It doesn't need to. This is a place where people measure time by the warmth of bread and the slant of shadows, not by ticking hands or blinking notifications. You pass the market again, the boy with the cloud wool waves. You look fluffier, he says with a grin, good trade. You smile and he hands you a fig, no riddle this time, just a fig. That's the reward, softness given freely with no terms and no urgency. You sit on a nearby stone bench. It's cool but not cold, shaded by the same fig tree from earlier. A breeze loops around your ankles like a cat too polite to demand attention. Above, the clouds drift like shy dancers across a blue too delicate to stay awake. You rest the blanket across your lap and notice something new. Stitched in the corner, in thread so fine it might be a whisper. May you never forget that rest is a right, not a reward. You lean back, exhale, listen. Somewhere nearby, a lute begins to play a tune that sounds like a lullaby for thoughts. The clouds above start to thicken again, not with storm, but with stories. The same kind stores away, gently folded, somewhere deep in that cave you'll return to someday, when the world gets too loud again. You let your eyes close just for a moment, maybe more. No one wakes you. No, not yet. When you open your eyes, the sky has softened into a lazy amber. The kind of light that forgets its angles and just pours. Around you continues its gentle bustle. It never hurries. No one here wears urgency on their face. Even the chickens cross the road for reasons they'd rather not explain. You stretch slowly. Not because you need to, but because it feels good. The bench beneath you creaks in a comforting way, like it's seen enough sitters to know when someone finally relaxed properly. Your blanket is still there, still warm, still humming. You drape it over your shoulders and instantly your breath slows again as if your body remembered its favorite rhythm. A small girl approaches. Her hair is a tumble of soft curls and bramble twigs. Is that one of his? She asks, pointing at your blanket. You nod. She grins, thought so, looks like it knows secrets. You offer a corner of it. She touches it with the reverence usually reserved for puppies and first snow. My papa had one once, she says, said it made his thoughts quieter. Then she's gone, chasing a butterfly that may or may not be imaginary. In the line is blurry and no one seems to mind. You rise again, this time with direction. Not urgency, just a soft intention. There's a path at the far edge of the village, one lined with olive trees and tiny blue flowers that look like they grew just to decorate your walk. You follow it, and as you do, something shifts in the air. A subtle awareness. You're heading back to where time behaves normally. Back to the world of calendars and cracked phone screens and just 5 more minutes. But you're not sad, not really. Because now you know is out there, not hiding, just waiting, just drifting. And the blanket on your shoulders. It's not a souvenir, it's a reminder that you can always come back. That the world won't collapse if you pause. That maybe, just maybe, everything important can wait until after the nap. As you walk, the clouds above part slightly, letting one sliver of golden light trail behind you like a whisper. Though the path home may be long, it may be loud, but your steps, though they are softer now. And when you reach that moment, the one where you feel the weight of being awake too long, you'll remember the cave, the chimes, the tea you never drank, and the God who weaves silence into softness. And maybe, just maybe, you'll rest again. You take your time on the path home, though it's not quite home yet. Not the version filled with alarms, lists, and 3 unopened browser tabs whispering reminders. This stretch of road still belongs to in spirit, quiet, undemanding, and just a little misty around the edges. The sun drips lower into the sky like it, too, has had a long day and is looking forward to lying down. Though the air here smells like dusk tea, equal parts mint dust and the faint hope that someone else did the dishes. As you walk, you notice the flowers beside the trail have begun to lean toward you. Not dramatically, not magically. Just gently, as if they recognize you as someone who has recently passed through a kind of sacred stillness. Or maybe they just like your blanket. It's fully wrapped around your shoulders now. You hadn't realized when that happened. It fits perfectly. Better than anything tailored or measured. This one wasn't sewn for your size. It was sewn for your tiredness. Somewhere behind you, the cave is just a fold in the hillside again, hidden in plain softness. You wonder how many people walk past it daily, thinking it's just another shadow. How many restless travelers trudge by, unaware that one small step to the side could lead them into the arms of a forgotten God and a room full of cloud things that exhale comfort. You walk past a shepherd who nods at you with his chin, a sheep trailing behind him like a dream with hooves. That one's seen, he mutters to the sheep. The sheep bleats once unimpressed, but you feel oddly proud. And at a bend in the trail, you see a wooden bench carved from olive wood facing west. It's simple but smooth, the kind of place someone once sat and accidentally invented peace. You sit. The world is quieter now. Not silent, just slow. Bees drift from flower to flower like they've read a different to-do list than the rest of the world. Far off, a bell rings, no one hurries. A man passes you on the trail. He's old, not in the sense of weak, but in the sense of having had time to edit his opinions. He carries a small pouch and walks with a cane that taps the earth with the rhythm of a lullaby. Oh, he nods at your blanket. That's one of his, he says. Oh, you nod. I used to have one too, he adds. Lost it in a thunderstorm, still dream about it though. Oh, he tips his hat and keeps walking. His pace never changes. You suspect it hasn't changed in 40 years. You sit for a while longer. The sun finally settles behind the hills, stretching long gold fingers across the fields before letting go. The temperature drops not sharp, just enough to remind you that your blanket is doing its job. You pull it and the fabric hums a single note. Not a tune, just a feeling safe. You think briefly of all the ways the world teaches you to keep moving. To produce, to chase, to grow, rarely to pause, almost never to drift. And yet this drifting, it feels like the truest version of yourself. You rise again. This time the path narrows. Trees overhead begin to form a quiet tunnel. They rustle, but only to each other. You pass under them, wrapped in your cloud blanket like a wandering legend that no bard would bother singing about, but whom every tired villager would recognize. As at the edge of the trees, the world begins to look more familiar. A stone well, a fence, a goat staring at absolutely nothing with immense concentration. You're close now. As the village reappears around you, the colors shift from gold to gray-blue. Not gloomy, just end-of-day colors. The kind of palette painters choose when they've decided to let the canvas rest. You pass a woman sweeping her doorstep. She looks up and smiles faintly. You think you've never seen someone sweep so slowly, not lazily, just with perfect, precise care, like she's brushing crumbs off a poem. Oh, she nods at your blanket. Did you see him? Oh, you nod. Oh, she doesn't ask which him you mean, she knows. I saw him once, she says. Fell asleep in the middle of shelling peas. When I woke up, the bowl was full and someone had left me a cup of tea that never went cold. You open your mouth to ask if that was doing, but she's already gone back to sweeping. You get the sense that answering that question would be like explaining why stars shine. Just let them. The children play nearby. One of them is lying on their back, eyes closed, a rock under their head, clearly imitating someone who knows how to rest. I'm the god of naps, they shout. The others giggle and throw flower petals at him. Your beard's invisible, one yells. Exactly, he replies, I dreamed it off. You keep walking. The blanket shifts slightly on your shoulders, tucking in at the edges like it doesn't quite trust the wind here. You pat it gently. It settles. There's a baker you pass, his apron dusted with flour, his eyes half closed like someone mid-daydream. He's leaning against the doorframe of his shop, the scent of warm bread floating like an invitation. You nod at him. He says nothing, just points behind him to a single round loaf sitting in the window. On it, faint and flour-dusted, is the unmistakable spiral pattern of a sleeping cloud. You don't need to ask how it got there. You don't need to buy it either. It was made for someone else. Someone just about to drift through that part of the story. You reach your door, it's ordinary, perhaps more so than you remember. The handle a little worn, the welcome mat slightly frayed, but tonight it feels sacred, like a gate to something bigger than home. A portal, a punctuation mark that says, pause here, let go. You step inside. The walls, though the same, seem to breathe differently now. Your bed waits, not made, not glamorous, but honest. You drop the blanket on it and it spreads out on its own, fluffing slightly, adjusting to the curve of the mattress. While you turn off the lights, the dark isn't empty, it's resting. You crawl under the blankets. And it remembers you. The moment your body sinks into the bed, it's as if the mattress exhales. You don't fall onto it. You arrive, slowly, deliberately. As if your bones are finally done auditioning for the role of upright citizen and are returning to their true purpose, being horizontal and at peace. The cloud blanket drapes itself around you like a lullaby with weight. Not heavy, but intentional. It does pin you down, it convinces you to stay. The edges curl in slightly at your sides, not to trap, but to reassure. A soft declaration, you're safe now. Somewhere in your room, beyond the hush of evening traffic, beyond the old wall clock that's been threatening to tick out of rhythm since last winter, there's a deeper silence. A silence stitched together with the very same threads wove into the air. You didn't notice it when you left his cave, but it followed you home, tucking itself in behind your steps like a loyal shadow made of stillness. You lie there listening. Not to the world, but to the way your breath sounds when it isn't competing with urgency. Your limbs begin to forget their limbs. They become part of the bed, of the air, of the hush between the seconds. A gentle warmth pools in your chest. It's not the kind of warmth that demands a name or an explanation. It just is. And then the dreams begin. But slowly. Not like movies or magic. More like postcards sent from other versions of you, all taking naps in different corners of the world. In one, you are lying in a meadow of tall blue grass. Clouds drift by overhead, shaped like the dishes you forgot to wash and forgave yourself for anyway. In another, you're floating in a canoe through a sea made entirely of soup. Every wave smells like comfort food. A ladle hangs from the sky, dispensing calm. And in another, your favorite so far, you're back in a cave, curled on that beanbag, sipping that tastes suspiciously like a memory of your grandmother's kitchen. He's weaving another blanket beside you, this one not for you, but for someone else, someone far away who has no idea he's being thought of. He hums a tune that your heart instantly knows. While you ask him in the dream if everyone gets a blanket. He looks up, smiles gently, and says, "Only the ones who remember to slow down long enough to deserve one." While you start to speak, but he waves his hand. Not to silence you, just to make the words unnecessary. The dream dissolves into mist, and you drift back through layers of sleep, sinking deeper than you thought possible. The kind of depth where no alarms can reach you, where the soul goes to unwrinkle itself. And then somewhere else, in a place you can't name because names are a waking thing, sits in his cloud cave, a fresh spool of fog thread at his feet. He watches the dreams ripple out like soft waves across a sleepy sea. He smiles. He yawns. And he begins weaving again. Not because anyone told him to, not because the world demanded it, but because someone somewhere is tired. And that for him is reason enough. The night deepens. Not in color, though the blue has now cooled into a dusky ink, but in feeling. It's a quiet that has weight to it. A velvet hush stretching across rooftops and between window panes. Even the air seems to be tiptoeing. If you listen hard enough, you might hear it whispering, "Let them sleep just a little longer." Your body is no longer debating rest, it has declared it, a unanimous vote. Even your fingers, those anxious messengers of distraction, have curled inward and surrendered. Your blanket hasn't moved, yet it seems to understand your shape more with each passing minute. It adapts, not like fabric, like memory. Like it's remembering what you need and quietly supplying it without making a fuss. Your thoughts, which once pranced around in the spotlight of consciousness, have now taken a seat. They're mumbling in the back row, their speeches unfinished, forgotten mid-sentence. Not every thought needs a conclusion tonight. Some are just here for the ambience. From somewhere deep within the folds of sleep, another scene begins to form. Not abrupt, just a soft return. You're walking barefoot along a shoreline that doesn't quite belong to Earth. The sand is pale lavender. The waves sigh instead of crash. Each ripple that touches your toes dissolves into warmth, not wetness. Ahead of you, a familiar figure sits on a large, overstuffed cushion balanced improbably on a rock. He waves lazily, not with effort, with habit. "Welcome back," he says, "you never really left." You sit beside him. He's holding a spindle now, lazily twirling it between his fingers. Long threads of cloud unwind, curl, and vanish into the breeze. "What are you weaving?" you ask, though your voice comes out like a thought more than a sound. He shrugs, "A little of this, a little of that, some blankets, some dreams, some breath for the wind." He pauses, inspects the thread. "Today I'm making one for someone who hasn't cried in years. It'll help." You look out over the dream sea, which is now shimmering with constellations that blink when you're not looking directly at them. They pulse with no urgency. "Did you know," begins, "that before time was measured, sleep was the way people marked distance?" You turned toward him. If a place was too far, they'd say it's 3 sleeps away. Not days, not hours, sleeps. Because in the beginning, time didn't matter, rest did. You let that idea sit beside you. It's comforting in a way no calendar ever has been. "I miss that," he says, "when the world measured itself by when you felt whole again." You nod, the water shifts. A school of dreamfish swims by. They look like folded paper and shimmer like they're made of secrets no one remembers. Most gods," he continues, "like being seen, praised, remembered in statues." He picks at a loose thread and shrugs. Me, I'm happiest when I'm forgotten. That means I've done my job well. You're not sure how long you sit beside him. Maybe minutes. Maybe several lifetimes. Time in this place isn't a straight road, it's more of a hammock. Eventually, he turns toward you with a smile that doesn't need to be earned. It's almost time, he says, not sadly, not with goodbye, just gently, like someone reminding you your tea is ready. While you look at your hands, they're beginning to shimmer faintly, not disappearing, just softening. Now you realize you're waking up. But slowly, gently. The kind of waking that starts behind your eyes and slowly seeps outward. No alarms, no demands, just the subtle shift from deep dream to the edge of thought. Your room returns piece by piece. The blanket is still around you, now slightly warmer than the room. The pillow has reshaped itself around your head. The outside world, whatever version of it waits, hasn't noticed your absence. And that's okay. You open your eyes just enough to see the outlines of things. The corner of the ceiling, the faint blue cast of early light. You're not rushing to start the day. You're not grabbing for your phone or rehearsing your to-do list. You're still in the in-between. And you let yourself linger there. You close your eyes again, not to sleep, but to stretch the pause. Because now you know. Rest is not a delay. It's an arrival. You stay in that liminal space, the in-between, longer than usual. Most mornings, you're dragged out of sleep like a fish hooked mid-dream. But today, you're still floating. Adrift in a layer of morning so soft it feels like someone whispered it into being just for you. You don't open your eyes all the way. Instead, you let the world seep in through texture and temperature. The blanket still covers you, molding to your body like a continuation of your breath. It's not just warm, it's aware. It doesn't press, it doesn't cling, it simply stays. The light behind your eyelids has changed. It's no longer night, but it isn't day either, not quite. It's that pale golden hush that arrives when the sun hasn't risen yet but has started thinking about it. The sky is stretching. The stars are fading. The world is somewhere between slumber and stretch. You turn your head slightly, the pillow catching your motion like it was waiting to help. There's no sound from outside, not yet. No cars, no barking dogs, no alarms. Just the barely audible hum of everything not happening. And then, just as softly as it began, your memory returns. I'm not in full, but in fragments. The cave, the clouds, the sighing beanbag that may or may not have known your middle names. He isn't a dream, you know that now. He's more real than half the deadlines taped to your fridge. He exists in the quiet you've just remembered how to listen for, and the blanket now wrapped around you is proof, not metaphorical proof, not some symbolic storybook thing. Actual, soft, weight in your arms proof. And somewhere far from your room but never far from your breath, he is weaving still. You sit up slowly, cradled by time that's being kind for once. Your legs dangle over the edge of the bed, your toes find the floor. and the floor feels different, not because it has changed, but because you have. You're heavier in all the right ways. Grounded. Still. You gather the blanket around your shoulders like a shawl. It trails behind you, not dragging but reminding. You walk to the window and push back the curtains. And outside, the world yawns. The first ray of sun spills over rooftops like it's forgotten how to be on time. Trees sway with no purpose but to catch light. A bird chirps and then seems to regret the energy. Somewhere down the block, a window opens. Someone exhales. You open your window too. The air that enters is crisp, scented with pavement dew, and the faint hope that today will be gentler. You rest your arms on the windowsill. The sky is a blanket in its own right now, lavender at the edges, stitched with contrails, fluffed with a few drifting clouds. One of them looks suspiciously like a beanbag chair. You smile. Then laugh just once, low and real. You let the blanket fall loose around your shoulders. The weight lingers just enough to make your breath deeper, your heart quieter. Not because life has gotten easier, but because you remembered you can rest in the middle of it. No, not after. No, not when it's done. No, now. You shuffle to the kitchen and put on the kettle. It gurgles to life slowly, like a machine reluctant to admit the day has begun. You sit at the table, the blanket now draped across your lap, where it hums again, so softly it could be mistaken for your own pulse. On the counter sits a notebook. You pick it up and scribble a single sentence across a blank page. I went to a cave made of clouds, and it taught me how to come back softer. You don't explain it. You don't need to. The words don't require defense. They carry the kind of truth that isn't interested in being believed. Though the kettle hisses not impatiently, you rise and pour. The steam curls upward in familiar spirals, just like the clouds in a cave. You watch it dance and wonder how many people in your city are watching the same mist curl, but forgetting to see it. You take your cup to the window and sit on the floor, the blanket now around your shoulders again, warm against your back. The sun rises slowly. Not to light the world, but to warm it. Well, the day begins. But this time you do not sprint to meet it. You sip slowly. Breathe deeply. And choose your pace like someone who knows the path and knows there's no race. Because once you've met the god of sleep and softness, the world can never quite convince you again that speed is virtue. You've seen the other side. You've been wrapped in cloud. And you remember now. Not every hero carries a sword. Some carry a blanket. The tea is warm and so are you. You're not in a rush to drink it. You cradle the mug like a conversation, one that doesn't need to end quickly or go anywhere in particular. The steam curls up not just as vapor, but as a slow memory, rising and softening in the same rhythm as your breath. Now, this morning isn't something to get through. It's something to be in. As outside the window, the neighborhood continues to unspool itself gently. Curtains part. Someone turns on music so soft it folds into the bird song. A child clumsily rides a bicycle over a garden hose and falls, not hard, just enough to learn. No one yells. The moment passes like a leaf in water. And in the background of it all, beneath the noises, under the rhythm of daily life, you feel it. The quiet hum of the blanket, still wrapped around your shoulders like the whisper of a cloud you forgot to thank. You glance down at it, tracing the seam where the thread shifts color. It flickers faintly with whatever light passes through the air. And just barely embroidered in the fold near your heart is another line you hadn't seen before. You're allowed to pause even when others keep going. You run your fingers over the words. They're stitched in a thread so fine it might be woven from early morning thoughts. The kind you usually ignore because the day starts shouting too soon. But not today. On today, you are stitched differently too. You rise again, blanket around you, and wander the house as though you're meeting it for the first time. The dishes in the sink look less like a failure and more like a memory of yesterday's laughter. The laundry pile isn't scolding, it's patiently waiting, quietly reminding you that everything, even socks, can rest before being folded. You open the door to your balcony or your porch or your stoop. It doesn't matter where, only that it leads outside. The sky has changed again. The clouds are drifting slowly now, thin and long, the kind that look like they're thinking. You step into the sunlight, not like you're breaking through something, but like the day is making space for you. And then you see it. High above, nearly invisible against the pale sky, is a single cloud. It's shaped like a spool. It's turning, just slightly. And you know, without needing to understand how, that is still weaving. Still dreaming up softness for someone who forgot what it felt like to slow down. Maybe they'll find his cave tomorrow, or in a week, or in 10 years when they finally cancel that meeting and decide to walk in the rain instead. You hope they do. You sit on the porch, pulling the blanket close again. It doesn't hum now, it purrs. The kind of low, warm purr that a contented cat might make if it could wrap itself around your spine. And somewhere inside you something shifts. Not a resolution, not a goal, just an agreement. That you will really try to carry this softness forward. Not just today, but through today. You'll speak more gently. You'll pause before answering. You'll listen to the silence between sentences and find the gold in it. And maybe, if you're lucky, you'll remind someone else that rest isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Later, much later, the day stretches. It grows louder, emails arrive, notifications blink. The world's appetite for urgency returns with its usual appetite, but you meet it differently now. You still show up, but you don't sprint. You still answer, but you breathe the first. And when, at last, the day folds itself into dusk, and the sky returns to that soft gradient of thoughts, you find yourself back at the window. Mug in hand, blanket around your shoulders, the horizon glowing like a dream just waking up. While you sit down again, and the world doesn't crumble for it. Because you've learned something now. Something real. Something that lingers even after the dream fades. Though that somewhere in the hills of sleep and mist, a god named is still watching. Still weaving. Still waiting for anyone who's tired enough to find the door. And the only key you need is the willingness to rest. The days pass in a way that feels less like time moving and more like time simply being, settling into itself like dust on a forgotten shelf. The world around you does what it's always done. It swells and recedes, the clock ticks, and the people hurry. But something inside you has shifted. It's subtle, like a river that finds a new, quieter channel. You go about your day, yes, but now it's with the kind of quiet focus that makes each movement seem deliberate, even when it's something as simple as taking a breath or pulling on a sweater. The frantic, clawing rush that once gnawed at you has quieted. And you realize, after a week or two, that your interactions have changed. The conversations that once seemed rushed now flow more easily. There's no anxiety in your words, no hurry to fill the silences. It's as if the quiet inside you has made space for the quiet outside, and everything around you has begun to settle into it. You stop for a moment on the sidewalk just to look up at the sky. You do it so often now that you forget to feel self-conscious about it. The clouds drift by and you find yourself watching them not with wonder but with familiarity. There's a sense of recognition, like you've seen them before, like they are old friends whose names you've just begun to remember. And maybe that's when you notice it. It's a single cloud off in the distance. It's fluffy, like a thought you haven't had yet, drifting lazily against the blue canvas. You watch it for a moment and it swirls in a way that reminds you of something. It reminds you of the cave, the one with the low, dreamy hum and the quiet corners where you could simply rest, without judgment, without urgency. Is there somewhere weaving, watching? You don't know when the idea enters your mind, but suddenly you decide to take the long way home. You've walked this route 1,000 times before, but today it feels different. Today, the path isn't just a route back to your apartment or your responsibilities. It's something more. It's an invitation. As you turn the corner, you feel the soft shift in the air. The light is softer now, warmer, like it's trying to lull you. The day has unfolded around you without asking. The trees by the street are no longer just trees, they are parts of a slow, peaceful unfolding. The birds, still singing, sound quieter now, less like a chorus and more like a gentle melody that has no particular beginning or end. Now, you don't know why you've never noticed this before. As at the next intersection you stop. A faint breeze sweeps through, ruffling your hair, and the world feels still for a brief, perfect moment. You close your eyes just to feel it. The air is cool but not cold. Comfortable. The scent of earth, grass, and something sweet you can't quite place lingers in the breeze. You don't rush to analyze it, you simply breathe. And in that moment, you know you're not alone. You can almost hear a voice in your mind, distant but gentle. Rest isn't something you do when everything else is finished. It's the art of making space in the middle of everything. You open your eyes and look around again. This time the world looks different, not in a dramatic, life-altering way, more like when you've put on glasses for the first time and you can see details you never noticed before. The tiny cracks in the sidewalk, the way the light catches the edges of leaves, the distant hum of a car engine sounding like something far away rather than a source of noise. Everything feels softer, more present. You continue walking not because you have to, but because you want to. The steps don't feel like they're pulling you forward. They feel like they're guiding you, leading you to something somewhere. The city is still there, but now it feels like a distant hum instead of a sharp, invasive presence. The hustle is happening, but you are no longer part of it. You walk at your own pace, unconcerned with what time it is or how many emails are waiting. In this moment, you are just here. As you pass through a park, you find yourself drawn to a bench. Not the kind you would usually sit on, but a quiet one nestled in the shade of a large oak tree. You sit down without thinking. You don't have an agenda, you simply want to be. The park is peaceful. The air smells like the earth waking up. A squirrel dashes across the grass, its tiny feet clicking against the pavement. A couple walks by, their hands barely touching, the comfort of familiarity settling between them. You watch a few children play, but you don't feel the usual rush to move along. You simply let yourself exist in this peaceful moment. The sky above has shifted. The clouds are no longer puffy white swirls, but now they are touched with shades of pink and orange. The sun is setting, but the light lingers in a way that doesn't hurry, as though it, too, is reluctant to let the day go. You realize that in some small, quiet way you are finally here. Not just physically, not just in your body, but here in the way you have been holding yourself. Present, rested. The blanket you had draped across your shoulders is still with you, tucked safely in your heart. You pull it around you not because you need it, but because it is still offering its warmth. Now you allow yourself to stay. You allow yourself to simply be. And that, it seems, is enough. When the sun has finally set, and the last light has retreated behind the horizon, you stand up from the bench. The air is cooler now, but the warmth of the blanket still lingers around your shoulders. You take a slow, deep breath and look around once more. The park is emptying out, but you don't feel the usual pull to hurry. You simply walk home as slow as you like, taking in the world in pieces. The leaves rustle overhead. The sidewalk feels softer underfoot. The streetlights flicker on in a steady, quiet rhythm, casting pools of light that seem to flicker gently along your paths. As you approach your home, you realize something else. You've been carrying peace with you all this time. Not just the soft, gentle kind that comes from stillness, but the kind that is born from the act of allowing yourself to rest. To simply be. Without the need to justify, without the need to prove, without the need to race. You reach the door, unlocking it and stepping inside. The familiar creak of the wood, the quiet hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, everything feels more welcoming now. More like a place that has been waiting for you to come back to it, not with a rushed heart or a head full of worry, but with the quiet of having learned to slow down, to pause, to let go. You place the blanket on the couch and settle in. The evening stretches on, quiet and steady. The world outside continues, but for now you are here. The silence of the house is not a vacuum. It is filled with possibility. And as you sit there, feeling the steady hum of rest in your chest, you know that this feeling is yours to return to whenever you choose. You've found the door to peace and it's open. It's always been open. Well, you just had to remember. The evening stretches on quietly like an old song humming in the background of your life. You're sitting on the couch wrapped in the blanket, but you're not just physically settled. Your mind, too, feels soft. There's no rush, no pull toward anything. The familiar hum of your home is more a part of you than ever, as if the walls are breathing with you. The house feels like a cocoon wrapped in peace. Even the small, seemingly insignificant things, the ticking of a clock, the soft creak of the floorboards as you shift slightly, carry a rhythm that matches the heartbeat of the world around you. A gentle rhythm, a steady one. You glance out the window. The streetlights outside are casting their muted glow on the sidewalk. Cars drift by, their headlights blurring into soft streaks of light. The sky has turned dark, but it's not oppressive. The stars seem to flicker just out of reach, like thoughts that haven't quite been formed, but are there nonetheless, waiting to be noticed. You feel no need to chase them. You simply sit, noticing the world as it is without expectation or urgency. It's like you've become part of the rhythm, no longer needing to push against the flow. You're flowing with it now. You pick up a book from the coffee table, one you've meant to read for a while but never quite found the time for. Tonight there is no later. Tonight there is only now. You open the first page and the words sink in like soft rain soaking into the earth. There's no pressure to finish. No time limit. You read the words slowly, letting them settle into the spaces between your thoughts. You're not devouring the story, you're savoring it like you're tasting each moment as you go. And there it is. The beauty of it all, the absence of rush, the space to breathe, to exist in the now, to let the world happen at its own pace. You can feel the subtle hum of peace growing within you, filling the corners of your being like a blanket being carefully unfolded, piece by piece. The minutes pass, but they don't demand your attention. They simply drift by as if they, too, have learned the art of taking their time. The book rests in your hands, but your attention has begun to wander not to distractions, but to the feeling of stillness that has taken root in your chest. Your mind isn't racing, it's still. The silence between your thoughts feels like an invitation, not an absence. You put the book down and lean back, closing your eyes for a moment. The hum of your home, the gentle rhythm of life, wraps around you like a soft blanket. Your breath is slow, steady. You feel it deep in your chest, the air moving in and out with purpose, but without effort. And you realize this right here is what it feels like to rest completely. not just physically, not just mentally, but wholeheartedly. You smile to yourself, not because something is funny, but because you've finally understood the simplicity of it all. The beauty of pausing, of stepping out of the whirlwind long enough to notice the quiet things. The things that have always been there but that you were too busy to see. As the night deepens around you and the world outside the window softens with it. The streetlights blur into pools of gold, the shadows lengthen, and the hum of distant cars becomes a slow, steady rhythm that feels more like a lullaby than a distraction. Inside, the house is warm, wrapped in the calm you've cultivated. There's no pressure to fill the silence, no need to check the time or think about the tasks waiting for you tomorrow. For the first time in what feels like forever, you're not haunted by the promise of more. There is only this moment. And this moment right now feels complete. You sit back again, pulling the blanket a little around your shoulders. It feels like an old friend, familiar and comforting, a reminder of all the softness you've allowed yourself. A small part of you wonders when you'll start feeling the urge to rush again, when the world will nudge you to be busy, to do, to hustle. But that thought feels distant, like a page in a book you've already turned. Now tonight, it's just you, the stillness and the soft breath of your home. You begin to hear the familiar sounds of night, the low hum of the fridge, the creak of the floor beneath your feet, the distant sound of wind moving through the trees outside. Each sound is like a note in a symphony that doesn't demand attention but invites it. You don't rush to process it, you simply listen. It's not quiet, it's peaceful. You let your mind drift, not to plans or worries, but to the space between thoughts. That liminal place where there's no pressure to do or be anything. It's a place where time stretches out like the softest fabric, allowing you to relax into it, free from deadlines and expectations. There is nothing here to chase. You close your eyes again, this time not to sleep, but to simply be. In the stillness, your heart slows. The weight of the world, for once, doesn't press down on you. Instead, it lifts. The gentle rhythm of your breath matches the rhythm of the world around you. For a moment, you are part of it all, no boundaries, no interruptions, just the quiet space where you can exist without striving. You feel it deep in your bones, this softness. It fills you. You feel grounded in it, like the earth is holding you gently, reminding you that there is no need to chase after anything, that you are already exactly where you need to be. You realize in this quiet that you've found something precious, something more than rest. You've found peace. The kind of peace that doesn't require any reason, any justification. Just the kind of peace that exists in the act of letting go. Letting go of the constant rush, the noise, the pressure to always be moving forward. And then you breathe deeply, slowly. Now this is enough. Now you are enough. And you understand now, this is what meant when he said, rest isn't something you do when everything else is finished. It's the art of making space in the middle of everything. You allow yourself to drift again, not into sleep but into being. A deep, restful being that isn't bound by time but floats freely in it. And you know without a doubt that you can return to this feeling anytime you need it. Because it's already here. And always has been. The quiet stretches on, uninterrupted, and for a moment you are simply here. Not thinking, not doing, not even trying to remember. You are just being in the simplest, most natural sense of the word. Your chest rises and falls in an even, rhythmic cadence. The space around you feels like a cocoon, snug and welcoming, cradling you in a way that nothing else in the world ever could. It's hard to put into words, but you feel it now, that gentleness that always spoke of, woven into the very fabric of the day, the world, and now that blanket draped around you. You pull it again as if to remind yourself of its weight, of its warmth. It's not an indulgence. It's a permission slip stamped with quietude and comfort to simply rest. The world outside still moves. You hear it, distant but present, the hum of traffic, the murmur of conversations, the shuffle of footsteps on pavement. But inside, there's none of that frenetic energy. Outside time is rushing, pressing forward, pushing ahead. Inside, there's only a steady hum, a pulse of peace, as if everything here has agreed to slow down just for you. A soft breath escapes you not from any need but because it feels natural. It feels right. You let it go. The blanket shifts again, ever so slightly. You place your hands on it, tracing the edges where the fabric folds softly against your body. The weight is grounding, but it's also like a guide, reminding you of the world that waits on the other side of this moment. A world that is not less important, but less urgent. You've learned that rest isn't just a break from productivity. It's an integral part of the process, the pause between breaths, the stillness between actions. It's the calm that gives the storm its shape. You rise again, slowly, as if the act of standing still doesn't need to rush. The light from the window has shifted, softer now, like the world is gradually wrapping itself in twilight. It's not dark yet, but it's not light either. It's that moment where the sky hovers between the two, a reminder that even the day has its own quiet moments of transition. You walk toward the window again. The cool air from the outside brushes against your skin and you lean against the frame, looking out at the horizon. The trees are still, their branches just barely moving in the evening breeze. A few stars are starting to appear in the sky, shy at first, blinking as if they are testing the waters of the coming night. It's a peaceful scene, one that feels familiar and new all at once. You've seen it before, but tonight it seems to hold more meaning. The world continues to spin, but here, right here, it's quiet enough for you to listen, quiet enough for you to notice. For once, you're not waiting for something to happen. You're not striving to make something occur or measuring how much time is left before you can move to the next task. For once, there is no pressure, no clock ticking at the back of your mind. While you are simply here, you notice a small bird perched on a nearby fence, its feathers ruffled gently by the breeze. It's still content, not waiting for the next thing to come, just being. You watch it for a few moments and then without warning it takes off, flying into the sky, its wings cutting through the air with effortless grace. And as you watch it disappear into the horizon, you realize something profound. The bird didn't need to be anything other than what it was. It didn't need to justify its flight. It didn't need to explain its path. It simply took off and let the wind carry it. For the first time, you understand what it means to let go, to trust the process of life without constantly trying to control it. The bird didn't fight the wind, it didn't struggle to fly higher. It simply surrendered to the air, to the rhythm of nature, and let itself be carried where it needed to go. You step back from the window and take a deep, steadying breath. The day is winding down, but you don't feel the usual tug of ending. You feel the pull of transition, of becoming. It's as though you've arrived at a place where the boundaries between today and tomorrow blur together, not as a closing door, but as an open path. You lie back down on the couch, the blanket still nestled around you, its comforting weight like a gentle reminder that you don't have to carry the world today. You close your eyes once more, the rhythm of your breath syncing with the pulse of the world outside. The soft, steady hum of your heart. The gentle flow of time, not measured by minutes but by moments. And in this moment, you let everything else go. The tasks, the obligations, the noise of the outside world, all of it fades away, leaving only this space, this quiet, this softness. For once, you let yourself rest without guilt, without wondering if you're being productive, without feeling that nagging need to do. You simply are, and it's enough. The time passes quietly, its rhythm syncing with the quiet hum of your body. The evening grows deeper and the house is bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, casting gentle shadows across the room. The world outside continues, but now it feels like a distant hum, a memory you've let go of. You are still. The blanket still rests against your skin, warm and comforting like a hug from the universe. For the first time in a long while, you don't feel the need to rush toward something. You aren't waiting for the clock to tell you when it's time to move on, when it's time to do the next thing. You are simply here. You are present. You are connected to this moment, to the peace that surrounds you. The window is open, and the breeze carries with it the scent of the world outside. A soft blend of night air, earth, and the faintest trace of flowers. It's the scent of quiet, of rest, of things coming full circle. As you lie there, wrapped in the warmth of the blanket, your mind begins to wander. Not to tasks or obligations, but to memories, to moments. You think back to when you first learned the value of rest, of quieting the constant hum of productivity that had once ruled your life. You remember when it first clicked, when you realized that peace didn't have to be earned. It could simply be accepted. And now here you are living that truth. Rest isn't a luxury. It's a necessity, a part of the rhythm of life. Without it, everything else falls apart. You turn over onto your side, pulling the blanket, feeling its softness like a protective cocoon. And as you sink deeper into the quiet, the hum of the world fades. The house settles around you, the night settles around you, and you find yourself once again in that peaceful in-between space, where time isn't measured by tasks but by the simple act of being. In this moment, there is no need for anything. There is no hurry, there is no more striving, there is only peace, only rest. And for the first time in a long time, you finally understand what it means to truly be at home. The night grows deeper, and with it, a stillness that only grows more intimate with every passing moment. The house around you seems to exhale with a quiet, steady rhythm, like a gentle breath that you can't quite hear but can feel in the air, wrapping itself around you like a cloak made of time itself. Outside, the world has drifted into that quiet, nearly sacred hour when the stars begin to truly shine and the earth's hum settles into a low lullaby. You could hear the world outside if you tried, distant conversations, the soft rustle of leaves, the occasional car driving past. But it's not invasive. It's a hum that feels like it's part of the background, part of everything, but no longer demanding your attention. You've learned to tune into the quiet spaces between the sounds. The spaces where everything settles, where you don't have to work to hear it. You lie there on the couch, the blanket wrapped around you as if it were spun with threads of comfort and calm. Your fingers trace the fabric, feeling its familiar texture, the warmth it brings, and the softness it continues to offer. The kind of softness that doesn't rush you. It doesn't pull or push or demand you hurry to the next thing. Instead, it encourages you to settle in, to feel the weight of the world lift, even for a moment. And so you do. You let go of the need to check your phone, to plan ahead, to do anything. There's nothing to be done in this moment but be. The peace around you has no agenda, no timeline. It simply exists, stretching out like a long, lazy afternoon. The kind where time doesn't move in straight lines but flows like a river, meandering with no urgency. And with that, you let yourself fall into it. For the first time, you understand the value of silence. The silence that doesn't make you feel anxious, the silence that holds you gently, not as an absence but as a presence. The kind of silence that speaks volumes if only you listen. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply is. You close your eyes and breathe in slowly, deeply, letting the air fill your lungs like it's all the time you need. There's no rush to exhale, no need to hurry to the next breath. You let the air sit inside you for a moment longer, feeling the peaceful weight of it before releasing it, just as naturally as your body knows how. In the stillness, you begin to notice more. The faint creak of the house as it settles for the night. The gentle whisper of the wind brushing against the windowsill. The soft hum of your own heartbeat, steady and calm. Everything is woven together in a quiet tapestry of being. Nothing is forcing itself forward. Everything simply exists in its rightful place. And you are simply here, no more and no less than the world around you. In this space, you realize there is no need for answers, no need for conclusions, no need for resolutions. There is only the quiet, and that is enough. It has always been enough. The night continues its slow, graceful waltz. You feel yourself drifting, not as if you are falling asleep, but as if you are allowing yourself to become part of the quiet rhythm of the world. Your eyelids grow heavy, but it's not sleep you're reaching for. It's a kind of surrender. The surrender to stillness, to the gentle invitation of peace that has slowly woven itself into your soul. It's a surrender that isn't about giving up, but about allowing. Allowing yourself to exist without needing to justify your existence. Allowing yourself to be without the weight of always needing to become. In this moment, you don't have to worry about tomorrow, you don't have to plan. You don't have to think about all the things waiting for you in the future. You only need to be here. This is what it feels like to be truly present, to be at peace with the world and with yourself. You realize that you've been so busy running toward something, toward the next task, the next goal, the next thing, that you've forgotten what it's like to stop and simply be in the present. And now you're here fully, completely, not thinking about what comes next, but relishing what is. You exhale slowly and let the world continue as it will. The stars continue their slow burn in the sky, the leaves continue to rustle gently in the breeze, and the night continues to settle into its own rhythm. You wonder if anyone else has ever experienced this kind of peace, if they've found this place of quiet in the chaos of the world. You think of the cave made of clouds and the quiet wisdom he shared with you. His words drift through your mind again. Rest isn't something you do when everything else is finished. It's the art of making space in the middle of everything. You understand it now. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment to rest. It's about learning to rest even when the world doesn't stop. Learning to make space for stillness even when the world keeps moving around you. This realization feels like a soft bloom inside of you. It's not sudden or jarring. It's gradual, like the gentle unfolding of a flower's petals under the morning sun. You're learning, slowly but surely, that rest is not a luxury or a reward. It is a necessity. It is a part of the rhythm of life itself. You allow yourself to drift a little further now, the pull of sleep becoming softer, gentler. But still, you remain present. There's no rush, no need to race toward the end of the night. The quiet hum of the world is enough. It's everything you need. In this moment, you are not trying to control anything. You're not trying to force an outcome. You are simply allowing yourself to experience this moment, to be in the fullness of it. The blanket wraps around you again, but this time it doesn't feel like something you need. It's just a part of the peace you're carrying. A reminder that you can always return to this softness, to this stillness whenever you choose. You close your eyes, but it's not to escape, it's to enter. To enter into the quiet of your own mind, the stillness that's been waiting there for you all along. You let the night settle around you, let it embrace you in its cool, peaceful arms. For once, the world doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels like a place you can rest in. A place that holds you instead of pushing you forward. As you begin to fade into sleep, you know this is not an end. It's a continuation. A continuation of the quiet, the peace, the calm that has always been here waiting for you to notice it. And this time you notice. And you know you'll return to this peace whenever you need it. Because it's always been here, just beneath the surface of your waking life. The night continues to unfold around you, and as you close your eyes, the world, for once, feels like it is exactly as it should be. That was peace. And you, too, are at peace. The night deepens, and with it, you drift further into the peace that has slowly wrapped itself around you like an old, familiar blanket. But this time, it's not just the weight of sleep that is drawing you in. It's the weight of understanding, the weight of knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. And for once, there is no need to search for answers. No need to fill the space with noise or movement. The world outside continues, but it feels distant now, like a soft melody playing just beyond the horizon. The sound of life is no longer an intrusion. It's a song that you can listen to without feeling the need to sing along. The city hums, the leaves rustle, the distant lights flicker. But all of it is just a reminder that the world goes on, and it will always go on with or without your participation. And for once, you are okay with that. You realize that the world will continue to turn whether or not you are in constant motion. The world does not need your constant striving. It does not need your worry, your rush, your need to make it to the next place, the next task, the next goal. The world needs you to rest as much as it needs you to move. It needs you to be present in both the silence and the action. And for the first time in a long time, you understand this. You allow yourself to sink deeper into the stillness, into the quiet. Not because you are tired in the traditional sense, but because the world has taught you that stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of peace. You feel the weight of your own breath in the stillness, in the calmness of the moment. It is steady. It is calm. It is simply here. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to chase. The present moment is enough. The blanket around you feels even softer now, its gentle hum a reminder that you are being held. And it isn't a feeling of being held by someone else, but by the world itself, by the air, by the earth, by the very fabric of existence. You are held by the simplicity of being, the simplicity of existing in this very moment without pressure or expectation. The quiet flow of life is enough. You glance at the clock on the wall. It ticks softly, marking the passage of time, but you don't feel its pressure anymore. The seconds don't chase you. They simply pass like the clouds drifting overhead without urgency, without complaint. You smile softly to yourself. You don't need to rush to fill the silence, to fill the space. In fact, you're beginning to realize that the silence is more than enough. The stillness has become a gift. It's a reminder that you are not defined by what you do, but by who you are when you stop. When you simply allow yourself to be. The air in the room feels like it's thickening, not with anything heavy or burdening, but with peace. It wraps itself around you like a cocoon, a soft, comforting presence. And as you lie there, the world outside continues, but it feels distant and soft, like a dream you can't quite reach. You turn your head slightly and catch sight of the window again. The stars are scattered across the sky, their faint light flickering in the distance. You don't feel the need to reach for them. They're just there, gently illuminating the night, offering their quiet brilliance without expecting anything in return. They are simply being. In the same way, you are learning to simply be. The night is full of its own quiet music now. The distant hum of the city, the rustle of the leaves outside, the occasional sound of a car passing by. But it's not a chaotic noise anymore. It's a melody that blends together seamlessly, as if the universe itself is humming to the rhythm of your stillness. You pull the blanket around your shoulders, feeling the soft weight of it settle over you like a reminder to be kind to yourself. to allow yourself to rest, to be still. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. You don't need permission to rest. You don't need to justify it or earn it or explain it. Rest is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the space between the actions, the space between the noise, where everything comes back into focus. For so long, you've believed that rest is something you do after everything else is finished, after all the work is done, after the to-do list is checked off. But now you understand. Rest is not something that comes after. It is something that comes during. It is something that allows you to continue with clarity, with peace, with presence. As the minutes pass, the world outside fades even further. You are not asleep yet, but you are drifting. Not into unconsciousness, but into a state of being where time slows, where the need to rush fades away, and where the silence becomes a companion. You are learning to be present in the simplest moments. The world continues, but it no longer demands your attention. You realize that you've spent so much of your life chasing something elusive, something always just out of reach. But now, in this quiet, you understand that you were always chasing the wrong thing. You were chasing the future, the next step, the next goal, but the future never arrives. It is always moving ahead, always just out of reach. But the present is here, it is now, it is enough, and you don't need to chase it, you simply need to be in it. You let your body sink further into the couch, feeling the soft weight of the blanket and the gentle pull of sleep, but you don't force it. You simply allow yourself to drift, to float in the calmness of the moment. And then, as if in response to the quiet surrender, your mind begins to slow. The thoughts that have been racing for so long start to settle. The worries, the lists, the concerns, they are still there, but they are now distant. They are no longer urgent. And in the stillness, you find a space to just be. You let the quiet grow around you, wrapping itself gently around your mind, your body, your soul. It isn't a loud, overwhelming silence. It is a soft, comforting one, a silence that doesn't need to be filled, doesn't need to be interrupted. You realize as you lie there that this peace, this stillness, is not something you need to chase. It's already here, it always has been. And as you finally allow yourself to close your eyes, you understand. Rest isn't the absence of action. It's the presence of peace. The space where you can simply be without judgment, without striving, without anything else except the quiet hum of life continuing around you. Though this stillness is not empty, it is full of everything that matters. And as you breathe in that peace. The peace that has always been here, and you know now that you can always return to it. All because it is yours. And it always has been. The night has fully settled now, and the world outside is wrapped in a blanket of its own. The stars twinkle not aggressively but gently, like little reminders that even the smallest of things can have their moment in the sky. The moon watches quietly from above, a pale guardian in the dark, casting soft shadows over everything. The air in your room has cooled, but it's not the sharp chill of early morning. It's the coolness of the earth winding down like a sigh shared by every tree and every leaf. The room feels as though it's breathing with you. No rush, no agenda, no noise, just the simple act of existing. You stay there, eyes closed, not quite asleep but not entirely awake either. The boundary between the two blurs, and for once you realize how incredibly peaceful it is to simply let go of the need to define everything. The days that you once thought had to be filled with tasks and accomplishments now feel like the gentle stretches between breaths. You can feel your chest rise and fall, the steady rhythm of your heart, and it's enough. You are no longer moving through your life as though you're running a race, desperately reaching for the finish line. You are simply walking, taking your time, enjoying each step, each breath, and each moment. The pressure to do, to be, to achieve is no longer holding you hostage. You're free, not in the way that others might define freedom, without boundaries, but free in the way that peace doesn't require an explanation. The blanket around you feels like a soft hug, but not one that smothers. It's the kind of embrace that lets you breathe, lets you stretch, lets you feel supported without any expectations. It's enough just to be held, even if only for a while. And as you lay there, your thoughts begin to settle even more. Not because you've forced them, not because you've told them to quiet down, but because they have simply found their place. Like the pieces of a puzzle clicking together in slow motion, each thought finds its home, each worry finds its quiet corner. You're not fighting them. You're allowing them to rest, to find their own rhythm, just like everything else around you. And then softly you begin to notice something you hadn't before. The faintest pulse of light, a tiny thread of warmth that seems to be emanating from your chest. Not external warmth, not from the blanket, but something inside of you. It is gentle and steady, like the glow of a candle that has been burning for hours, not with intensity but with endurance. The warmth grows ever so slightly with each breath you take, and you realize it's not just your body that's resting. It's your heart, it's your soul. You don't know exactly what this warmth is, but it feels comforting, like a reminder that you've found the space you've been longing for all this time. The stillness, the peace, the presence. It's as if the universe has wrapped itself around you, and for a brief moment you are exactly where you need to be. You begin to wonder about the layers of life you've been missing, the moments that go unnoticed, the quiet spaces that exist between all the noise. You wonder about the people who are still running, who are still chasing something they can't catch. You realize that you used to be one of them. You used to be one of those people who couldn't stop moving, couldn't stop striving for more, for better, for bigger. But now, here in this moment, you realize that you don't need any of it. All you need is this moment. Well, the stillness, the peace is... And so you allow yourself to rest further, letting go of everything you've been carrying. You let go of all the thoughts, the worries, the expectations. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't need to do anything. You just need to be. The weight of the day, the weight of the world slips away, and what's left is simply the quiet, the calm, the space between all the things that used to matter but now seem so far away. As you drift not into sleep but into the deepest kind of rest, where the mind and body no longer feel separate, where time isn't an enemy but a companion, you realize something even more profound. You've found the art of being still, and in that stillness you have found yourself. The world outside has faded now, and the only sounds you hear are those of your own breath, deep and steady. The steady hum of life continues, but it feels like it belongs to someone else. You are content here in this place of peace where you are not chasing the future or analyzing the past. There is only now. The light through the window has shifted again, casting a soft glow across the room. You open your eyes slowly, not because you need to, but because the light is gently nudging you, inviting you to take in the world again. But this time it's different. You don't feel like you're stepping back into the rush. You feel like you're stepping back into the quiet. You take in a deep breath. The air is cool, but it's not uncomfortable. It feels alive, filling you with a gentle energy. You pull the blanket around you, the weight of it settling into your body, grounding you further into the present moment. You feel it, the soft fabric, the quiet weight, a reminder of everything you've learned over these past few days, weeks, maybe even months. You get up slowly, letting the blanket fall from your shoulders as you stand. The world is still around you, but it doesn't feel urgent. You're not in a hurry. You've learned that the world will still be there whether you rush to meet it or not. It's not that you've stopped moving forward. It's that you've learned how to walk with intention, with purpose, without feeling the need to run. As you move about the house, you notice how different everything feels now. The simple tasks, making coffee, folding clothes, picking up a book, feel different. Not mundane, not a checklist to get through, but an opportunity to be present. The mundane has become sacred because you've learned to appreciate it for what it is. Life unfolding in its simplest form. You stop at the window again, looking out at the world. The trees outside sway gently in the breeze, and the sky is beginning to turn soft shades of pink and orange. The day is beginning, but it's not the beginning that feels significant. It's the fact that you are here now, fully awake, fully present, not anticipating the next thing, but existing in this moment. You sip your coffee slowly, feeling its warmth spread through you, its rich flavor grounding you in the here and now. For once, you're not thinking about what's next. You're simply here. And that in itself feels like enough. You set the cup down and move back to the couch, where the blanket is still resting. The soft fabric beckons, but this time you don't need to dive into it. You simply sit with it, feeling the gentle weight of it on your lap, the warmth of it wrapping around you like a long-forgotten memory. And in that moment, you know that you are not just resting. You are living fully, completely here. The day outside has fully unfurled, the sunlight casting its golden warmth across the room, and yet you don't feel the usual rush to get up and dive into it. For once, the urge to fill the day with tasks, to chase productivity, feels far away, like a memory of someone else's life. Instead, you stay nestled in this moment, the soft hum of the house around you, the quiet flow of life continuing outside but not pressing in. The blanket, now resting comfortably across your lap, feels like more than just fabric. It feels like a bridge, connecting the stillness of the world outside with the peace that has taken root within you. You pull it closer, the weight of it gentle, like a reminder of what you've learned. That rest and presence are not luxuries but necessities. You glance out the window again, watching the world beyond. The trees are swaying in the wind, their leaves shimmering in the sunlight. The shadows they cast dance slowly across the ground, creating a soft, ever-changing pattern. You're not in a hurry to understand it. You're not racing to capture the moment or make it mean something. You're simply watching, simply being part of it. The world continues, but it's not rushing anymore. It's unfolding gently like a book being read aloud, each page turning with intention. You feel in this moment like you've learned how to read the world in the same way, without urgency, without forcing the plot, simply allowing the story to unfold at its own pace. You sit there for a long time, watching the play of light and shadow, the way the air shifts with each passing breeze. There's no pressure to do anything with the time, no need to make it productive. You've learned that the most productive thing you can do is to be. To simply sit in the present and allow yourself to rest, to take in the world without trying to own it or shape it. As after a while you stand, but it's not a hurried motion. You rise slowly with the grace of someone who knows there's no rush. You move through the room like the day is unfolding with you, not in front of you. Your steps are steady, unhurried, and they carry you to the kitchen where the kettle waits, quietly patient. As you fill the kettle, you hear the faint sound of birds outside, their calls distant but clear. The sound is so simple, so pure, it fills the space with a kind of serenity. The world outside is waking, yes, but it's not rushing to meet the day. It's unfolding slowly, like a thought that arrives when it's ready, not before. You pour the water into your mug and watch as it steams gently, the rising vapor curling in delicate spirals, soft and unhurried. You sit down again at the table, your coffee beside you, the morning's light spilling over the surface like liquid gold. This is the simplicity of life. Not the tasks, not the to-do lists, but the soft unfolding of moments. The way the light changes as the day moves on, the way the air feels as it shifts with each breath. It's these small things, these quiet gestures that make up the rhythm of life. And in this rhythm, you find something more than peace. You find contentment. The kind of contentment that doesn't require more, doesn't need anything to change. It's just here, in the quiet, in the rest, in the stillness. You finish your tea slowly, savoring it, not because it's extraordinary, but because it's a moment. It's a pause in the rhythm of your day, a space where you can breathe without pressure, without expectation. You set the mug down and look out the window again. The day is bright now, the world fully awake. But you are not in a rush to meet it. You've learned that sometimes the best way to meet the world is by giving it the space to exist without your interference. As you sit there in the stillness of your home, a small realization slips in, unnoticed at first, then slowly growing. You are no longer waiting for something. You are no longer waiting for a better moment, a more ideal time, or a more perfect version of yourself. You are simply here, exactly as you are, exactly where you are meant to be. It's a quiet revolution, one that has taken place inside you without fanfare, without anyone else noticing. It's the quiet acceptance that you are enough, that you don't need to chase, to compete, or to fill the silence with noise. You simply need to be present. And in that presence you find yourself, not the version of yourself that's always striving for the next thing, but the version that exists in this moment, breathing and at peace. You look around your space again, but this time with a new awareness. The room, once just a place you inhabited, now feels like a sanctuary. The simple act of sitting here in the comfort of your own space is enough. The things around you are no longer just objects. They are part of the stillness you've cultivated. The books on the shelf, the vase on the table, the soft light streaming through the window, they are not distractions. Though they are companions in this moment, contributing to the peace that you have allowed yourself to create. You stand and move to the window, once more drawn to the view. The world outside seems to glow now, touched by the sunlight. It's the same world you saw earlier, but now it feels different. It feels like yours, not in the sense of ownership, but in the sense that you are fully present in it, part of its quiet unfolding. As the trees sway, the wind carries the scent of something sweet, and the distant sounds of life moving on outside the walls of your home feel distant and gentle. It's not a separation, but a soft understanding that you are here, inside your own rhythm, and the world outside continues in its own rhythm. Neither one is more important than the other. Both exist in harmony. You take a deep breath and feel the weight of the moment settle within you. You are not rushing to anything. You are simply here, and that is enough. The day stretches before you, and you don't need to rush toward it. You don't need to force yourself into the demands of the world. You have already found your rhythm. The quiet rhythm that doesn't need to be filled. The rhythm that simply exists. And as you stand there, looking out at the world, you realize that you've found something even more profound than peace. Well, you've found a presence. And in this presence, you know you've discovered something more valuable than any accomplishment or goal. Well, you've discovered that you are enough. Right here, right now, just as you are. The evening comes once more, and with it, the soft, peaceful rhythm of the world winding down. The stars begin to appear, their light faint but steady, like quiet invitations into the night. You stand by the window again, your favorite blanket around your shoulders, feeling the cool evening air on your skin. The world outside seems to pause just for a moment, as if it, too, is taking a deep breath. You let yourself breathe with it. Slow, steady. A deep, grounding breath that reminds you that you don't need to move to be part of the world. You don't need to rush to catch up. The world will continue, but in this moment you are just here, present, and content. You smile to yourself, not because you've reached any grand realization or solved any complex problem, but because you've found a quiet peace that is always within reach. A peace that doesn't need to be earned, only allowed. A peace that lives in the simple act of being present, of being still, of letting the world be as it is and letting yourself be a part of it. You step away from the window and sit down again on the couch. The blanket pulls up around you like an old friend, and the weight of it settles in, reminding you that you are held, both by the world and by your own presence. The soft hum of life continues around you, and you settle into the peace of it all, letting the night unfold in its own time. And as you sit there, the world continues to move, but you've learned that you don't have to chase it. You don't have to force it. You simply have to be part of it in your own time, at your own pace. Well, the peace you've found doesn't demand anything of you. It simply exists. And for once, you let it be enough. The quiet stretches on and the night slowly deepens into a profound stillness. You sit in the comfort of your own space, wrapped in the warmth of your blanket, feeling the peace of the world inside you. You realize as the hours drift by that this moment is all you need. The world outside continues its dance, but you are no longer rushing to meet it. You are no longer chasing after something that doesn't exist yet. You are simply here, fully present in the quiet hum of existence, and it is enough. You close your eyes, letting the world fade into the background. There's no pressure, no urgency, just the simple comfort of being right here. The quiet weight of the blanket, the soft sounds of the night, the steady rhythm of your breath, it's all part of this moment. And as you let yourself drift off, you know that you will carry this peace with you wherever you go. Because you've learned the most important lesson of all. Though that rest is not a luxury. Oh, it is a necessity. And it is always available. When you are ready to receive it. And in that knowing, you finally find the most profound peace of all. The peace of simply being. The soft warmth of the blanket settles deeper into your skin, as if it's woven not just of fabric but of time itself, each thread carrying with it a whisper of moments you've yet to experience but can already feel. You stretch your legs out, a gentle movement, and you realize how much space there is around you now, not just physically but emotionally. A space that once might have felt too vast, too empty, now feels like room to breathe, to expand, to simply be. The house is quiet, but it's the kind of quiet that doesn't feel like isolation. It feels like a cocoon, a safe space where you can close your eyes and let everything drift. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant whir of a car passing by, the soft ticking of the clock on the wall, each sound is a part of the rhythm, part of the melody of the evening. You open your eyes again, not because you need to, but because you're drawn to the soft light spilling through the window, the last remnants of the day's light fading into the horizon. The sky is now a dusky purple, the stars just beginning to make their slow entrance. The coolness of the evening settles in, but it doesn't feel jarring. It's refreshing, a soft invitation to settle deeper into the stillness. You rise slowly, still wrapped in the blanket, and walk to the window. You pull the curtain back just enough to see the world outside, familiar yet distant. The world continues to move, to breathe, to shift, but it no longer feels like something you need to chase. You are here now, and this moment right now is enough. You let your gaze drift over the soft glow of the streetlights, the gentle sway of the trees in the breeze, the distant hum of life that feels far away but comforting all the same. You're no longer trying to control anything, no longer trying to fit into the mold of what the world demands from you. You're simply existing. The pressure you once felt to fill every moment with activity, with purpose, with accomplishment has faded. It's been replaced by something far more profound, a gentle acceptance of the moment. The space to rest, to breathe, to feel. It's a lesson you've learned slowly, like water carving its way through rock. The world doesn't need you to be constantly in motion. The world doesn't need you to hustle, it just needs you to be present. To show up not as a frantic collection of tasks and expectations, but as yourself, fully, quietly, without apology. And as you stand by the window looking out at the world that is still turning, you realize how freeing that understanding is. You don't have to fight for space. You don't have to rush ahead. You can rest. You can take your time. You can let life unfold without feeling the need to force it into a specific shape. The world is vast, but it's also patient. And so are you. You turn away from the window and move back to the couch, feeling the weight of your body sinking back into the cushion, the blanket gently draping over you like a sigh. You don't need to do anything right now. There's no urgency, no need to be anywhere or accomplish anything. You've given yourself permission to simply exist, to rest without guilt, to pause without pressure. And in this moment, you realize something. Rest doesn't just give you energy. It gives you clarity. It gives you the space to truly see not just the world around you, but yourself. In the stillness, in the peace, you see who you are, free from the distractions, the noise, the relentless push of life. And who you are in this moment is enough. As the night continues to deepen, the quiet grows richer. The silence in the room is no longer just the absence of sound, but the presence of peace. The walls feel closer now, not in a confining way, but in a comforting embrace. It's as if the house itself has settled into the rhythm of your being, the way a favorite song plays in the background without needing to be noticed. You close your eyes again, not because you're tired, but because you simply want to let the world around you drift. The weight of the day no longer clings to you. It has been folded up, tucked away in the corners of your mind, and it doesn't demand your attention anymore. You've learned that it can wait and that you can rest in the spaces between. Your body feels lighter now, not from being free of weight, but from being free of expectation. No one is rushing you to do anything. No one is waiting for you to be something. You are simply yourself, and that's more than enough. You think of all the things that used to fill your days, the tasks that seemed urgent, the deadlines that once felt like walls closing in around you. You realize in this moment that those things are still there. They still exist just as they did before, but they no longer define you. They are no longer the driving force behind your actions. You have given yourself the space to rest, to simply be in the world without feeling the need to meet its demands. And that, you realize, is the greatest gift you can give yourself. You reach for the book on the table, the one you've been meaning to read for weeks, and you open it slowly. Not because you have to finish it, but because you want to. You don't rush through the pages. You let the words sink in, savoring each sentence as it passes through your mind. The book becomes not just a story, but another part of this moment, another way to rest, to sink into the present. The minutes stretch on, and the world outside seems to quiet even more. The night wraps itself around you like a soft shawl, and the house continues to breathe with you. The only sounds now are the faint rustling of the pages in your hands, the occasional shift of the blanket, and the gentle rhythm of your breath. And as you read, you realize that this, too, is enough. Not the rush, not the hustle, not the need to finish something, just the simple act of being, of resting, of living fully in the moment without needing anything else. You close the book, satisfied, and set it down on the table beside you. There's no need to finish it tonight. There's no need to rush to the next task. You've given yourself permission to simply be, and that is more than enough. The evening stretches on into a deep, comfortable quiet. The world outside has fallen into its own rhythm, its own pace, and you can hear the soft murmur of the earth settling in for the night. The wind has quieted, the leaves have stilled, and the stars are twinkling with a steady brilliance, as if they, too, are waiting for something but have no urgency in their waiting. You feel a soft pull towards sleep now, but it's not the sharp, immediate descent that usually comes with the end of the day. It's a slow and gentle shift, like the world is easing you into it, like you're being cradled by the very rhythm of the night. You pull the blanket up to your chin, feeling the weight of it settle over you. The warmth is comforting but not heavy. It feels like a reminder that you are held not just by the fabric but by the world around you. You are a part of it all, the quiet, the stillness, the peace, and it is enough. The weight of the day has melted away completely now. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be. You close your eyes and for the first time in a long time you feel the world slow down. It's not something you have to force, it simply happens. And in that slowing down, in that quiet pause, you realize something profound. You are enough. Not because of what you do, not because of what you accomplish, not because of how much you strive. You are enough because you exist, because you have learned to rest, to be present, to take up space without needing to fill it with anything more than what's already there. You let yourself fall into that stillness, and as you do, you feel a deep sense of peace settle over you, like a soft wave that carries you into the night. And in that night, you are finally free. Free from the noise, free from the rush, free from the pressure to be anything other than what you already are. And in this freedom, you find a peace that will stay with you, even when the world outside picks up its pace again. Because now you know peace is not something you chase. It is something you create simply by allowing yourself to be still. The peace you've discovered now is not something that arrives with the promise of perfection, nor is it the kind of quiet that demands you to lock everything out. It is the peace that exists with everything, the noise, the chaos, the movement, and yet it remains untouched by it. It's the peace that arises in the spaces between breaths, in the pauses between thoughts, in the gentle moments that are often overlooked but always present. You feel it now deep in your bones, that unshakable understanding that rest is not simply the absence of activity. It is the acceptance of what is. It's the knowing that the world will continue, that time will flow, but none of it needs to hurry you. You've learned to move with the flow of time, not fight against it, not race ahead or fall behind, but to walk at your own pace, knowing that each step, no matter how small, matters. The stillness in the room around you is no longer just the absence of sound. It is the presence of everything that needs no explanation. It is the quiet certainty that you are part of the world and that you are allowed to take up space, to rest, to exist without needing to justify your existence. You let yourself sink deeper into the couch, into the blanket, into the night. Your thoughts have quieted even further, drifting gently, like leaves carried on a soft breeze. You don't try to stop them. You simply let them pass like clouds in the sky, knowing that the more you allow them to flow, the more they will naturally fade. And in this quiet, in this peace, you find a deep sense of gratitude. Not for what you've accomplished, not for the things you've ticked off your list, but for simply being. For being here in this moment with nothing to prove and nothing to do. For allowing yourself to rest, for allowing yourself to pause, for giving yourself the gift of simply existing without pressure. The night stretches on, but it no longer feels like an endless series of minutes to be filled with activity. It feels like a gift, a space to simply be, to breathe, to rest. The world outside will continue to spin, the stars will continue to twinkle, and the city will continue to hum with life, but you no longer need to chase after it. You've learned that peace doesn't come from reaching a destination. It comes from knowing that the journey, in all its pauses and its quiet moments, is enough. As you lay there, wrapped in warmth and peace, you begin to understand something profound. Rest is not a momentary escape. It is not a place to run to when everything feels too much. Rest is part of the rhythm of life itself. It is the pause that makes the music meaningful. It is the silence that makes the noise bearable. And in that understanding, you feel a deep sense of home, home in your own body, in your own space, in your own life. You realize that you do not need to search for peace. It is already here, it always has been. The quiet moments, the stillness, the breath, it's all part of the rhythm that you are learning to move with. The blanket rests around you as it always will when you need it. The quiet surrounds you as it always will when you choose to listen. And in that quiet, in that stillness, you find everything you need. Not more, not less, just enough. The night has deepened fully now, and with it, a profound peace settles in. You are no longer aware of time ticking by, no longer aware of what tomorrow will bring. You are simply here, and that is enough. You pull the blanket up once more, feeling the soft weight of it like a comforting embrace. You close your eyes, and for the first time, there is no need to try to sleep. You don't have to force anything. The world is still, and so are you. You are a part of it, and it is a part of you. There is no separation, no striving, no racing. There is only this moment, and in this moment you are at rest. As you drift into sleep, there is no sense of urgency, no sense of anything left undone. There is only peace. There is only the quiet certainty that you are enough just as you are, that you don't need to chase after more to fill the silence with anything. You are simply here, and that is enough. The world will continue, time will pass. But in this moment, in the stillness of your own being, you know that you have found something far more lasting than any goal, any ambition, any moment of rush. You've found rest. And in that rest, you have found peace. Oh, and that peace is enough. The stars above twinkle softly as the world continues on, but for you, everything has slowed. Everything has softened. And with each slow, steady breath, you surrender to the quiet hum of the universe, knowing that it will carry you forward not with haste but with gentle ease. And in that ease you sleep.